Now, what I'm going to talk about today is what do you do if you wake up in the middle of the night because of worries churning in your mind? Sometimes you do have this just wake up and then you're wondering about this or that, and you can't really have a very clear idea of what's happening. We all know the feeling when you suddenly wake up in the middle of the night and then maybe in cold sweat, hopefully not, because of a bad dream or just being worried about a problem we face in our everyday life or something that may just have occurred today in the office or the week. This past year has not been without an increased share of worries due to the pandemic, the climate change, floods. Hopefully it's not affecting you, but definitely you read about it in the news, weather changes, or our way of life. We all need our sleep, whether it be 8 hours or less, depending on our individual needs. I know the feeling of waking up and trying to fall asleep, and the difficulty I face at times doing so. There is so much stress associated with our work life, or kids if you have them in schooling, monetary concerns, and relationships which may be at the beginning, the middle, or an impending breakup which can be enough to jolt anyone awake. The constant barrage of news, both good and bad, will add to this besides the various means that we receive such. From our handphones, our emails, our colleagues or family, not that we are actually consciously searching for such news. Waking up in the middle of the night and unable to fall back to sleep easily, cause of worry or concerns is sometimes termed maintenance insomnia. If you are someone who is constantly anxious, then this can really create issues with your sleep cycle. This lack of sleep or poor quality sleep will leave us in a less than ideal waking state, which then leads us to further complicate our anxiety. So, if we do not stop it or reduce, it can lead to a vicious cycle. So, having said that, is it possible to stop the cycle of waking up and not being able to fall asleep due to worries? So, what do you need to do? Stop reading news updates from about 2 hours before bedtime or social media. Listen to relaxing and slow music. Sometimes physical activities like meditation can be good for cooling down and calming down the mind and allowing focus on positive thoughts. Reading is a good option, especially when it is text heavy and particularly detailed, not storybooks. It's also good to have a positive discussion with a close friend because sometimes this can actually let us relax, or a family member so that we can unwind and release the stress we may have built up. Sleep is so important to us for our bodies to recover and heal, so if you don't feel good and you are still having such issues, have a good chat with your friendly doctor. It is good to jot down in simple point form some of the items that you are thinking about. Sometimes just seeing them on paper will give you an objective view of the issue at hand, and you may find them easier to resolve or find that they're not actually as bad as you thought they were when it's brewing in your mind in the middle of the night. It sometimes gives us relief to see what we have been worried or thinking about, and we can then rationalize what to do about it if we are up to it, or else just pen it down and think about solutions the next day. And sometimes when you wake up the next day, you may find that actually it is not such a big issue or it might have resolved itself. In the still of the night when we are resting, these thoughts will surface, and perhaps it is our mind trying to find a resolution. So we jot it down, we have it down on paper, and we can stop thinking about it until we are ready. We, in a way, control it. Our minds are wonderful creations, able to process information and data that we receive visually or via our hearing or our reading and try to find solutions. Write down all the points in your mind, just little points and dots and dashes, and make a point to read the list in the morning when you are fully awake and ready to resolve anything that you come across after having a good night's sleep. We often try to sleep when we have such issues, but we should learn to relax and, as mentioned above, put down the points and do some light reading if we so feel like it till we find ourselves dozing off and going for a good night's sleep. Get into a schedule or habit of having dinner, set aside a time to do what you need and relax, and you will get into a habit of falling asleep at the same time as our minds adapt to this practice.